Hey, what's up, man? This is Neil from GoliathLED.com. And have you ever wanted to know how to grow in soil? But you're like, man, Neil doesn't really teach how to grow in soil. Now, I do have some grows where I show how to grow in soil, so you can search my channel for that. But I mainly do organic. So it's like, if you're going to grow in soil and have that slower process, why not just grow organically, right? You're going to get some nice, awesome quality and flavorful weed. But for those that might want to do something different, then we're going to check out this here. It's how to grow weed. Here's the channel right here. So just a shout out. I'm going to do like a reaction video, get some of my knowledge, what I disagree with, agree with, and stuff like that, and see what you guys think. Because hey, I'm just too sick to grow anymore, and me and the wife separated, so I don't really have her help. My sister might help me grow. We'll see what happens with that. But for now, I can do these kinds of educational videos. And hey, if you have any grows you want me to like do a reaction video on or comment on and stuff like that, let me know, and I can do that. So let's get started. So the first thing is,
Channel is for adults only. I do not condone any illegal activities, and everything I record is for educational purposes only. With that said, I'm gonna teach you how to grow some weed.
yeah,
Damn, it's insane. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18,
that's not bad.
21.
That's not bad. 21 of these jars, that's like, well, these are 32 ounces. That's at least 21 ounces, depending on how dense the weed was. And I mean, this picture doesn't look very good as far as like the quality, but that might just be the lighting and everything. Yeah, so I think that's pretty good. We'll see how many plants he does, but that's pretty good. That's over a pound. A lot of you guys can't do over a pound with one grow, with one grow, one little area. So you got to get there.
21 and 4 ounces of trim. That's absurd. When people ask me,
Only
why
three
aren't you
plants.
releasing more content?
Only three plants. That's not bad for only three plants. These are pretty big pots, fabric pots. So this looked like 10, like maybe 7 gallons or so. They might only be 5 gallons, but they're true 5 gallons, unlike the plastic pots. There's a difference, right? So for those that don't know, when you buy these fabric pots, they usually are measuring the amount of water you can put inside of it, and so it's just like or the other way. Yeah, I think that's what it is. So anyway, when you get a 5 gallon, it's like a 5 gallon bucket, right? When you go buy a 5 gallon bucket from Home Depot, that holds 5 gallons of water, right? But when you buy a 5 gallon pot, like a nursery pot, those black pots, that's not the same as a 5 gallon bucket, not the same size at all. It's much smaller. It's at least a gallon smaller because it's measuring the amount of soil. Anyway, so these go by water weight, right? Just like a 5 gallon bucket at Home Depot. So these hold a lot more material than if you were to get a 5 gallon. Anyway, for only three plants, that's a decent grow. That's not bad at all, actually. And these are photoperiods, so the grow kind, we'll see how long is the
My
grow.
response is you could already have a perfect grow using the videos I already released. Rather than showcasing my own grows, this video showcases a public journal shared by Mike.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was too with the channel. It's like I started feeling like, what else can I do? Like I've already taught everything that I do. And by the way, if you want to know more, then check out my grow book. So if you just don't want to like fuss with everything, here you go, grow pot cheaply. This is a super easy thing. If you have Kindle Limited, you can actually read it for free. If not, the paperback is $29, and then I think the regular version, the Kindle version, if you don't have Kindle Unlimited, I think it's like $7, something like that. So for the base, that's for the ebook, right? Anyway, so yeah, it tells everything that I know when it comes to how I grow with cocoa. So if you just want a very simple system, that's a system to use. It's a dummy-proof system. Like you can't really mess it up unless you're like retarded. So it's really easy. Like, but with soil is a little more complicated. But anyway,
Who follow the Grow With Me series. This is what his plants look like without the series, and this is
oh, that's what I was gonna say though. So that's kind of where I got with it, right? I kind of got to that point where it's like, man, I've already kind of shown everything that I do. Like now it's just repetitive. Like what new thing can I do? That's why like I used to always do different kinds of stuff, new things. Like okay, let's try to grow in a freaking cardboard box, that's really tiny with my Perfect Sun Mini and stuff like that. Let's try to grow and like challenge myself to different kinds of grows. And that was kind of interesting, but I don't have the health to do that anymore, and so that's unfortunate. But yeah. So, but even then, it's like I just felt like, what else can I do that's different? I've done everything, so now it's just let's just document my grows, I guess. And that's kind of what the channel became, just documenting my grows. But anyway, now I can't even do that. So hopefully this will still be cool that I can give I can still teach you guys stuff, and I can like comment on videos and stuff that you guys like your own grows. Send me your grows if you want me to comment on them. Just in fact, you can just comment in the description. Actually, it's a good way to advertise your channel as well. So anyway, let's keep going.
This is what his plants look like with the series. Same strain.
Yeah, that's not bad.
So
That's not
first
bad.
off,
Good
all the
training.
equipment he used is listed in the description. Mike started this grow on October 15th using Happy Frog soil and general hydroponic nutrient.
Right. So I don't know, man. If you're gonna use Happy Frog soil, right? I mean, I think Happy Frog isn't organic anyway. I know it's been a while since I've looked at it, but if you once you use the initial nutrients that are in it anyway, then it's pretty much like there's not much nutrients left in it, right? And so at that point, you have to put some nutrients in it. Why not just do organic, like Dr. Earth or something like that? It's easier than having to mix all this stuff up, and it's healthier for your plant and everything. But I don't know if you're going to use, I guess general hydroponics is fine. Like if you're going to use that, that's fine. Unfortunately, I would offer my nutrients, but I can't make them anymore. So, and I just don't have anyone to make them right now. I mean, I'm still able to make the natural, colossal P. And by the way, if you're going to grow with this stuff, especially in soil, definitely want to use colossal P. It's gonna make this stuff so much more available to your plant and make your plant just so much healthier and bigger. So definitely check that out. And so to do that, you just go here, perfect nutrients. Unfortunately, I can't do all the nutrients anymore, but I still have colossal P and root, so you can check that out. Just go here, colossal P. All right. Anyway, let's get back to it.
He prepared the soil a week before germination, and exactly how can be seen on this video linked on the top right.
I like that. I like that. That's a good idea. So like especially if you're going to do the kind of stuff that they're doing, then when you're growing, definitely want to make sure that, see how he put all that perlite. I don't know why he didn't comment on this, but see how he put all that perlite at the bottom? Now you could put like lava stones or something like that. Just something that just allows drainage at the bottom. So that way, when the roots do make it to the bottom, it kind of air prunes them and helps them to where they don't just sit in their own water and stuff like that. So it's a good idea to do that. And so you just put like it looks like 2 inches or so of that perlite at the bottom, but it'd probably be cheaper to do like lava rocks or something, but perlite will be fine too.
His soil had extremely low pH, so he had to compensate future feeds. 7 days after the soil was prepared, he popped his seeds in rapid rooters.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's the best.
For the longest time, man, I slept on rapid rooters. Rapid rooters. I don't know why I did that, because they're the bomb, man. They work so good, right? And there's different kinds you can use, come in different sizes. I like the little plugs are great, and so that's what I started using too. And there's different kinds you can get, but yeah, they're awesome. Like I tried all these different methods and everything, and rapid rooters are just awesome. They just work. And so you don't even have to do the whole paper towel method, which, you can do that if you really want to make sure that it's going to sprout whatever. And then you can, once it starts sprouting, pop it in the rapid rooter. But honestly, just pop everything in rapid rooters. And then if they don't pop in rapid rooters after a few days, and make sure you put like a heating pad in there or put them in a warm area and put them in something like this. This is ideal. These are really inexpensive to buy on Amazon. And with the ones that don't pop, you can try popping them out and then soaking them in water for a day and see if that helps. You can also try soaking them in water for a day to see if they start to pop, especially if they're older seeds. Anyway,
best method,
rapid rooters
the
are
reason
shit.
why can be seen on a 7-way comparison linked on the video on the top right. So here's a little more info on the strain. It's mainly sativa. THC is up to 19%, which is kind of on the low side. Flowering time is 10.
Yeah, but you know what? Sometimes those numbers don't matter. Like it really, if you know a strain is good, it doesn't matter. Like because they're like, I don't know, I can't remember what strain it was, but like I remember the numbers are kind of low. But everyone that smokes is like, yeah, that hits hard. And if you're doing photoperiods, like you're gonna have stuff that hits hard more anyway. But yeah, you might want to try to find that balance between something that's really good, really strong and powerful, but also has a decent yield to it. Because otherwise, you can grow like the most bomb stuff, but it might not have that good of a yield. And then that's just kind of give or take there. It's up to you what you want. You have to grow a lot more of it in order to get the kind of yields you want out of it. But some of those strains are just so good, it's kind of worth the lower yields. I have a strain that I grew last time. Watch my last grow I did. Do that. I can't remember the strain off the top of my head right now, but that strain is amazing. It's a big yielder and it's strong. I've had a lot of people try it and they're like, yeah, dude, this stuff is good. They always want more of it. So when they try it. Not that I sell it, but like in Oregon, you can give it out for free. So I just like have them try some.
10 weeks, and we'll keep that in mind during bloom. Now, week 1, no surprise, 100% germination, All three of them
So
popped as soon as the roots 100% germ.
so this I don't mind this at all. This is fine. This little technique right here, you can take these soda bottles and like cut them and then put drill holes in them. And this is like a cheap little dome. You can also buy little domes; they're really cheap anyways. But it's kind of good to keep the humidity high. So if you don't have the humidity already high inside your tent and it's kind of low, then this trick can help. If your humidity is already good, I wouldn't even worry about this though. And then what he's saying is about like at this point you're just feeding water because there's already nutrients in the soil, so you don't add nutrients at this time.
Germination. All three of them popped as soon as the roots were poking out. He transferred them into the prepared pots, domes on.
That's perfect. Once the roots start poking out of the rapid rooters, that's when you want to put them in their pots. That's perfect. Just dig a little hole. He should have showed how to do that, but you just like dig a little hole, kind of use your fingers to kind of push it to the side, You know what I'm talking about? Kind of like when you're getting that G spot. Anyway, just push it to the side like this, and then pop it in there and gently put the soil back on. Yeah, at that point, I recommend watering with colossal P or with the roots. Either one is going to be great.
Top to keep the humidity
It's going to help your roots grow much better.
The width of these holes are about a pencil wide. During these first 2 weeks, you're not feeding anything except plain water, never directly on the stem. And that's going to prevent you from drowning your plant.
Yeah. So especially when you're growing in soil like he is, that was a good tip of advice there, is don't water directly onto the plant. Notice how he's watering outside here. That's what you want to do. You want the roots to grow into the moisture. And you can do that even if you're, when they're really small like this, even if you're growing in cocoa. But typically the cocoa is all going to stay pretty wet. It's fine to just water. But I usually water on the edges anyway. That's good advice.
Never directly on the stem. And that's going to prevent you from drowning your plant. Week 2, he pulled the domes off. And that's going to prevent.
So 61 humidity is already relatively kind of high. Once they get to this stage, you can just take those. You can just take those off. Just take those off. They don't need to be there anymore. This is already pretty good humidity. Maybe like when they're really really young, you want to try to keep it like at 70 to 90. If it would be great, and that's going to be good. And that's what those little things are. But once they get to this stage here, once they have this many leaves, then you're probably fine to take that off anyway. You don't need it. The humidity is not low enough, and the temperature here. It's fine. 78 is actually pretty good. Depends on how much CO2 you have too. You can actually go even hotter if you have more CO2.
You from drowning your plant. Week 2, he pulled the domes off, and sticky traps are here because he noticed some gnats for the next 2 to 3 feet.
Man, that sucks. You're already noticing gnats. What I would have done, especially this early in the grow, if I was done, because gnats can bother your grow the entire time. What I would have done if I noticed gnats is I would have put some gnat nicks on the top of this here. It's like just a layer of like basically like glass powder, and it just makes sure that the babies can't hatch, they can't get out of your soil, they die, they can't get into it. You can put a couple of these sticky traps too, but I would either that or just at least put something on the top here to kind of prevent the gnats from getting in. You can also use sand, so like play sand from Home Depot, but gnat nicks works better. It's lighter, it's great stuff. You just put like 1 inch of it on the top, or even 1/2 inch.
He's going to be feeding mosquito bits tea, and at this point, you want to keep that humidity up. So you'll notice these open containers with water in his tent. We're still feeding with plain water.
That kind of helps a little bit, right? So he said he had open containers in the tent. So having some sort of like a bucket in the tent or something like that, it looks like he cut the top off the milk jugs, and have a couple of those in the tent could definitely help the humidity. But it's so easy to get a cheap dehumidifier. You can literally get one of those things for like Vicks Vapor Rub, whatever, and put some water in that and just turn that on for a little bit every day. Like you can even put it on a timer. Like it doesn't take much in a small tent to get it, to raise the humidity. So literally something cheap like that, a little cheap mister, electric mister that allows you to plug into a timer, and then you're good to go. Just have it turn on a couple times a day. Much cheaper and easier. When it's not cheaper, but it's much easier and it's going to work better.
And you're fingering the soil to tell whether or not you need to feed.
Yeah, you're fingering the soil. That was definitely said on purpose, I think. But yeah, you want to do like up to like your first knuckle right there. You kind of want that much. You want kind of that much length, and make sure it's staying dry. And then that's when the water. It's important to do that with soil. You don't have to do that with cocoa. With cocoa, you just keep it saturated water every day, and it's just a dummy-proof system. So I definitely recommend my system if you're a first-time grower. If you want to grow organically, I'd recommend doing soil. Obviously, it makes it easier, but there are ways to do organically with cocoa too. But yeah, so there's also these little worms you can buy. They're like clay worms. They come in different kinds of shapes and stuff. Basically, these clay things you can stick inside your soil, and you can stick them down like 2 inches into your soil, and when it's time to water, that thing will turn like a pale color.
Week 3. This is where the plants are finally ready for
So I
nutrients.
mean, these aren't looking bad for week 3. These are
You'll see he
photoperiods.
started to make his juices stem.
So they start to at week 3, for photoperiods, they're a little bit slower than autos anyway. This isn't actually bad for week 3. I think if you're growing in cocoa, even with the photoperiod, you probably have a little bit better, especially when he shows week 4. I think you have a little bit better
Stems looked
growth.
a little weak, so he reinforced them with some chopsticks. You're
Yeah,
noticing
see, that's unfortunate that he had to reinforce them with chopstick because the stems are weak. And that might just be because, I don't know, maybe there wasn't enough of the right kind of stuff in that soil. I don't know. All I know is if you use colossal pea or roots during that time, either one will work fantastic. Because even the colossal pea still has the stuff that helps the roots, or you can use if you can't afford both, just get colossal pea and do that through the whole grow. Use colossal pea as roots. But anyway, if you have the roots, then use the roots during the beginning grow. And I'm telling you, man, it makes the roots grow bigger and faster and better. It makes the stem strong, and it's all natural. It's a natural plant hormone, so you're not like putting anything unnatural to your plant, and it just works. It works great. So check it out, Colossal P again. That would be right here. Good old Colossal P at GoliathLED.com. Links in the description.
a variance in the size of the plants. Week 4, again, here's the runt.
Oh yeah, by the way, I have one Goliath, well, unless it's already sold. I have one Goliath LED, Goliath V2 that's on the site. I think I have 1 or 2 of the minis left. I would grab them because I'm probably never going to sell those ever again because I just ran into some problems with health and stuff, and I don't have the wife to help me anymore. It's just too much. So, but I do have a new light out that it's like the Goliath V3. It's just everyone kept asking, like, they want the 1,000 watts. I don't know why, but they do. And so hopefully that's true. And that's what people want. But I have the 1,000-watt V3 coming, which is basically you don't have to connect the bars anymore. You just unfold it and it's good to go. So that's kind of a cool little change to it. And it's super powerful. And so it's already, the Goliath V2 is already so powerful. I easily grow 2 pounds under it, just one light, easy. And it only uses like 735 watts or something like that. With the 1,000-watt, man, you can easily cover 5x5, even better. You can, like, if you can't get 2 pounds out of it, you're doing something wrong. I mean, if you're an experienced grower, that is. If you're just starting out, don't like beat yourself up about it. Just shoot for that pound at first.
The other 2 plants are looking great. The plants were big enough to be topped, and the concept of topping is pretty simple.
Yeah, I mean, you can top their photoperiod, so it's fine. And once you have, this is a fine. Once you have some couple, like 4 branches, whatever, you can go ahead and top the top, and you're good to go. And that just gives you more branches to kind of work with. But really, don't have to top. You can just kind of start bending the top over, and then just keep bending. I show a bunch of different bending techniques in this channel, so just search for that on my channel, whatever. And there's all these different training techniques you can do without having to top. Especially don't top if you're doing autoflowers. You just do the other training techniques I show, and it's much less stress on the plant, and they recover faster, and you get all the branches you need. And then honestly, I recommend using the netting. The netting makes it so much easier to keep an even canopy, and it's so much easier to train them.
This used to be over here, and that would have grown straight up. So when you cut it off, you'll see this leaf right here will branch out, and this leaf right here will branch out. And instead of,
well, it's not the leaf that branches out, but yeah, these sections will become branches.
one main branch, you'll have 2. Now week 5, wow, insane amount of growth. And you'll see he's finally ready to dunk. If you don't know what dunk is, it is the absolute best way to feed plants in fabric pots.
It's kind of like bottom feeding, and I think that's why they have the perlite on there too. At the bottom layer of perlite.
In soil. See, I like to start dunking as soon as these leaves extend past the edge of the fabric pot. He dunks it, then he places it on this bucket to angle.
So basically what you're doing is you're just taking the whole pot and you're just dunking the whole pot inside of your water, and then you're pulling it up and out and letting it drain on its edge into a bucket to get all the runoff. That we don't have to like vacuum up so much runoff inside the tent.
Will drain all the excess water out. This runoff is the best measure of what's actually going on in your soil. So,
By the way, this is a great little tent to do a grow in because it's like a 5x2. I think it's what it is. It's either 5x2 or 5x2.5. Might even be, I doubt it's a 5x3. But anyway, so that's a nice little space to grow 3 plants in. Even to grow 1 plant in if you take the time to train it right, or just grow 2 plants in. And this is a nice little area you can get a good amount of,
if you take a look,
a good
he has
yield.
measurements on all of the runoffs, and you'll see here that pH is extremely low. In the series,
That's
you'll
true.
learn about responsive feeding. So his next feed is going to compensate for that low pH by having a higher pH.
And so, and how they did that there is that runoff water, that's what they measured. So, and that's a fine measurement for soil. And so you measure that runoff water. And if it's really low like that, yeah, that's not a good thing. You want to, and by compensating for it, he's going to add some stuff that has a higher pH value.
So week 6, after dunks, you'll see the growth and the consumption just catapults. In 4 days, each one of these plants drank 12 pounds of water.
They're a little stressed out here. The light might be too close. See how you're getting the hard edges on the leaves right here? Like that almost look like, see how they almost look like they're like a razor, not a razor, like a serrated edge of a knife or something. See that you can see the dents. They're not as flat and as smooth. That's usually because you're stressing your plants out a little bit too much with light. I mean, it could also be a little too much. Most likely it's light. It could be a little too much nutrients, which it looks like too, because you can see the tips a little bit. Like see that tip right there.
You could see he added a humidifier to help with the VPD. The higher pH feed also brought the runoff back to comfortable levels. Week
That's
7,
good.
routine dunks, feeds. You'll see there's new equipment. Week 8, this is the beginning of LSTing. It was a little too aggressive. He broke that stem, but honestly, they're weeds.
It's easy to do. Like, you gotta be careful. You gotta kind of hold. I recommend holding the end when you're bending it down. Hold where it connects to the plant so you don't actually snap it off like that, because it is easy to do. But if you just hold the end there and then bend like that, it's good. And doing some like low stretching. Also, I recommend the clips, man. Those clips are amazing. I've showed those in my last grows. Clips are awesome.
I wouldn't have even done anything, but he reinforced it with chopsticks, and the plant made a full recovery. I noticed that he added some grommet holes so he could use twist ties to bend down the branch.
Yeah, this is good. Like, 'cause if you're gonna use this pot more than once, which I usually don't, because they're just such a pain in the butt to clean and get all the roots off and everything, because the roots like grow into and everything. I usually just toss these out after grow and use new ones. But I guess if you have an easy grommet gun already and you want to just snap grommet on there, that's fine. But if I don't see the point of doing this unless like you're going to reuse the pot or something. Just cut a little hole, use a hole puncher if you have it, like the kind for paper, or just take like a knife and literally just poke a little hole, or a nail or anything. You just poke a little hole and that's fine. Just make sure you poke it down about an inch so that's not going to rip through. And these are really strong anyway. That's all I would do. Or another thing you can do, you can just take a safety pin and clip the safety pin on the edge here, and that gives you a loop to work with. Or you can take a piece of galvanized wire, poke it through and wrap it over, and I have a little loop to connect to. There's a lot of different things you can do.
And sprawl out that canopy. The idea is really to cover all these gaps right here. The plants seem a little yellower than I like, so I told Mike I would lower the light intensity. Week 9,
Good
plants
advice.
still look a little yellow.
See, that's what I was saying before. It's not even that they just look yellow. You can tell by the way the leaves look, that serrated edge. You can tell the light is too close, and so you just back the light off a little bit, and because either the strain can't handle it, or maybe you're not feeding it enough nutrients to handle that kind of light. But you don't want to like overfeed your plants anyway. So I would just back the light off.
Noticing some burnt tips on the edges. In this situation,
That's what's good about my light design. The way I design it with the lenses, the double lenses inside, is that you can get it rather close, up to like a foot. It depends on, not during veg, usually you want to be like a foot and a half during veg, like maybe 24 inches away or something like that. Maybe even 2 feet away, like 24 inches. Maybe 17, 18, it just depends on the strain. But it's designed like, especially toward flower, you definitely get that light closer. But he's still vegging. So during veg time, you want to keep it like 2 feet away or so. And it looks like his light's too close. and those lights don't have the double end LED or the double lens technology in there, and so it's like it's not like the light, you know, more evenly dispersed throughout the canopy, and because of that, you're going to get, you know, you have to have it even further away. It also means it doesn't have enough spread out if you want to cover a bigger area.
Pull back on the ppm, maybe like 50 to 100. Mike's going on vacation, so he prepared all these jugs for a friend to feed. He
So yeah, this is all fine.
all
We're
of
in.
that.
So now
He
we're
also
in.
pruned all of those lower branches, and these.
I just realized we're already at like 25 minutes, so I'm gonna try to speed this up here. So this is great. I like all this. You want to defoil it. They're probably getting ready to go into flower because they're already vegging week 9, and that's like kind of the limit where you want to start, you know, popping in. That's, see, if you're in cocoa, you could have flipped over faster. But anyway, yeah, cut all the lower branches off, cut all the lower leaves off. It's a good idea.
These are perfect for
Helps
clones.
helps with humidity and stuff like that. And yeah, it does work great for clones. So get it all looking like this, and then kind of either have everything tied down, but honestly, it's so much easier just to put a net. You just connect the net to the 4 poles of your tent, lower the net down, start training the branches like to weave in and out like this, and you can, like, it's just so much easier.
This would be considered to 12-12. That 6-hour difference.
So now they're popping it into 12-12, so they're going into bloom now because they switch it into 12-12.
De-stress the plant and turn it back green. You can see he's doing a great job with LSTing. You could barely see the gaps. The bud sites are a good distance away from each other, and this is where the bloom nutrients is slowly introduced.
It looks like he did raise the light a little bit too, and that's good. But now, once they start flowering, that's when you want to slowly start lowering your light or let them grow up into the light. But if you're keeping a nice even canopy, especially if you're using something like a, what's it called? If you're using something like the netting, then I don't know why my brain I was thinking about these fans. So if you use like a netting, then you can get a pretty even canopy. And so that if that's the case, then you just lower the light down and keep lowering it down to get as close as you can. With my lights, that's going to be about a foot at the closest. Now, I don't know if these are oscillating fans or not, but you want to use oscillating fans or even just one oscillating fan.
Week 2, the plants are stretching a little.
Because otherwise, you have to put these on pretty low. Otherwise, you get burn. You can burn your leaves with it.
The yellow on the center of the bud sites is perfectly normal. This new growth would have been leaves before.
That's true.
But now that we're in bloom, these are turning into colas, which will end up being bud. Colas are starting to develop. This would be an ideal time to pollinate. Tips.
I don't know if you want to be. He might be a little bit low on PK. I don't know, or CalMag. I don't know if you wanted that yellow.
So a little.
Could be the lights.
At this point, the plants are done.
Because here they look fine.
It's going to focus all its energy on the buds. You'll see.
This is good too. Before you go into that final pushing, before the buds really start, you want to do one more defoiling, get all those lower leaves and branches off. But because you want to do it earlier on, and then that way you don't want to really do much after this stage. So after like week 4 in the flower, you kind of don't want to mess with them too much. You kind of don't want to mess with them much at all. You want to kind of try to do all the defoiling before they go into flower. But you might have to do one more defoiling, and then that way you have nice airflow and everything, easy to keep the humidity down, and then just focus on these colas on the top.
A heavy defoliation was done. Now the airflow is better. Humidity is easier to maintain. See, the colas are stacking. Notice the trichomes are coming in. Plant side by side. Touching.
If you guys want to watch the rest of this, you can. You can see what it's called. You can easily search for this. I'll try to link to it as well if I remember.
Beginning of week. So
a lot of people at this point get super excited, especially if like their first grow, or maybe it's their second grow or something, and they want to like chop them down right away. And at this point, right, they're like, oh, week 8, that's how long you flower for. But see, most strains, unless it's a really fast flowering strain, most strains need more than 8 weeks. 10 weeks is like ideal for most strains. There's some sativas, heavy sativas, that need longer than that. They need like 12, 14 weeks. But 10 weeks is like a pretty good amount of time to bloom just about any strain. And then, so if you don't have like a loop or anything like that to check, and it's hard for you to see, you don't have like a little magnifying glass, whatever, you just don't have you have a hard time seeing the trichomes, then you want about like 30% amber or so. Just go for 10 weeks. Almost any strain is going to be good at 10 weeks. And now, if it really starts looking overdone, It's a, at like 9 weeks, then pop it down at 9 weeks. But usually 10 weeks is a really good.
Of the leaves, I advise to start flushing. So Mike started the pre.
So I don't know about flushing already. That seems kind of early, especially when you know you're going to go to 10 weeks most likely anyway, because like this strain is going to be a 10-week strain anyway, Chocolate. So you might as well, I don't know, 2 weeks is kind of a long time to flush, but if you're doing a more mellow flush, you're just kind of starting to just feed water every time you feed. You're obviously not feeding every day like you can with cocoa. So you're just going to be feeding when you need to. Then this might be fine. But this is the benefit of cocoa. You can just feed all up until like the last point, and then just when they're pretty much finished, and then just like flush a bunch of water through it, and then just feed water for the next few days, and you're done. We can't really do that with soil because you can't water it like that every day. And so you're only going to water as it needs it. But at this point, you're probably drinking a lot of water, so you might be able to water it every day, even with just water. For if you get to that point where you can just water them every day with water, or at least every few days. Maybe only wait until week 9 to start flushing them out. But maybe week 8 might be fine. It just depends. There's some things. Soil is more complicated. There's more stuff you have to think about.
Flush mix, and you could see how much of a difference it made in the plants. I mean, what's crazy is that these are all the same strain, yet these don't look the same at all.
Yeah, same strain, but you get different phenotypes. So that's going to happen regardless.
This one looks purple, this one looks yellow, and this one looks green. Pistils are still white, which is why you can't trust pistils. You got to look at the trichomes.
That's true.
And here you'll see they're.
It's true to some extent, but honestly, like once you start seeing some of the pistils like this turning this kind of amber color, and like, you don't like, there's always gonna be new pistils growing, right? So you don't want them all to be amber. As long as you start to see some amber things coming through here and there, you're probably fine. Again, just don't even chop down unless they've at least been 9 weeks. Like wait until 9 weeks. Do not chop it down unless it's been 9 weeks. Even if the strain says 8-week flowering time, you can still do the extra week and be fine. So I would just, a rule of thumb, just go 9 weeks for flowering for when you're growing photoperiods.
All milky with hints.
I recommend going to 10,
and that's my
but at least 9.
Plants are ready. This is the rightmost plant, leftmost plant, center plant. And finally, week 10, just like the strain description said, trichomes are now showing hints of amber all through.
So like I said, see, it's a 10-week strain. And most of them are. 10 weeks is ideal.
We got to chop. This is the rightmost plant, left plant, center plant. One do you think is alpha? Let's cut off. What is
so I like this here. Humidity. So this is fine. Chopping them down like this is fine. You can literally just chop it from the bottom like that and hang them like this for a few days, and then just like keep your humidity about like 60 or so in your grow tent. That way they don't dry out too fast. That kind of slower dry, it gives you a much better quality smell, and everything just gonna smell good and cure well. And so I have videos on how to do all that. But yeah, then you can actually cut the branches, or you can just start with the branches and cut these branches and hang them on like coat hangers or whatever, and let that dry furthermore in your tent at maybe even like 65 humidity or something like that, and just kind of let them dry kind of slow. Like a slow dry is good. I know you might be like, oh, I want some weed right away. If you want some weed right away, cut one branch off and dry that separately. And that way you can get it, with lower humidity, you can dry it off faster, and then you can get that ready to rock and roll quicker. But anyway, so yeah, hang dry. I would recommend cutting out at some point, cut all these branches, let them hang dry. And then once they kind of start feeling like they're dry on the outside, like the branches start feeling dry. Anyway, I have videos on this, but you can pop them inside paper bags for like another week or so until they have a more slower dry. And then eventually you want to cut those and trim them and put them in jars, and that's how you start curing. But yeah, so I think this is a pretty good video. There's not like a whole lot. I don't think I really disagree with much of anything. There's some tips and stuff I had in there, some ideas. But yeah, this is great. So if you want to grow in soil, it's cool. Again, if I was to grow in soil, I'm just gonna grow organic. I'm gonna grow organically. Why use? And it's cheap. A bag of Dr. Earth is cheap, and it lasts a long time. So anyway. I mean, it's cheap relatively. Like, you get a lot of powder and it kind of lasts. You can do several grows with it. So it's going to last you a while. It's not like that. It's like $15 a bag or something like that. So definitely, that's what I would do personally. Dr. Earth is an amazing. I've grown with it many times, and it really does give you a nice smell and flavor, stronger than if you use like general hydroponics or something like that. So that's that. Thanks for watching. And hey, if you guys enjoy this kind of content, then let me know, and how you let me know that you enjoy this kind of content and that you don't like it's either this or pretty much nothing. I don't know what else I can do right now, because I just don't have the health. So if you want to see me make more videos, want to see me continue to do stuff, give me ideas of other kind of videos I can make. It pretty much has to be videos I can make while just sitting in my bed, because I can't get up and really do stuff. So I mean, some of the things I can do in my power chair. But anyway, so yeah, I guess the best way to show that you want to see more of me is to hit the like button and leave a comment. That helps the YouTube algorithm and all that kind of stuff. So, and check out this guy's channel. It's cool. If you want to grow in soil using like general hydroponics, this works. And I think he has a good method of teaching. So check it out. All right. Until then, I'll see you next time.